This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Clorox Sentiva smells like lavender. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
All right, that could go on for a while. Experience the long-lasting freshness of Clorox Sentiva. Available in Clorox Sentiva Lavender Scented Bleach. Use as directed.
This is the FPL Draft Zone, your fantasy team's best signing of the season.
Game Week 31 is done and dusted, and attention now turns to Game Week 32. It is a double for Newcastle and for Crystal Palace, but how much should our eye be drawn to Game Week 33, where 4 more teams double? Hello and welcome to the FPL Draft Zone, a podcast all about Draft FPL. I am Dom Crofts. I hope you are well. And another game week is indeed over, and there are now only 7 game weeks left before the end of the season, and your fantasy draft fate is set in stone. As usual, we're going to be looking at all the Game Week 32 fixtures and suggesting a few potential signings who should be available on your waivers. But before that, I just want to say a big thank you if you were one of the listeners who gave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. This week's shout out goes to FPL Dad, who left a lovely review on Apple Podcasts, so thank you for that. And we're not going to burden the point this week, oh no, but if you do have 30 seconds to subscribe to the pod and or leave some positive words of encouragement or a 5-star review, it would be massively appreciated. So go on, do it. Do it now. Do it now while you're listening to the show. A show which is going to start with a look ahead to Game Week 32. There are 11 fixtures to look forward to, and the game week gets underway with a 12:30 p.m. GMT game between Manchester City and Crystal Palace. It has been a woeful season for the champions, who currently sit outside the Champions League places in 6th position. Meanwhile, their opponents are one of the form teams in the country. They've had just 2 defeats in their last 13 matches, and they have a pretty good record at the Etihad. They've lost on only 2 of their last 6 visits there, and last season Mateta was amongst the scorers in a 2-2 draw. And get this, for a mad stat, Crystal Palace have not lost away from home since Game Week 8, when they were beaten by Nottingham Forest. Since then, they've had 6 wins and 4 draws, and only Liverpool and Arsenal have lost fewer away games than them this season. They've lost just 3 times on the road. They are a side that also double in Game Week 33, so you're getting 4 games for the price of 2 if you can get in any Crystal Palace assets. Now, most will be taken, but after the sending off of Mark Gahey, and with doubts over Lacroix and Richards, Ben Chilwell should get a rare start. He's been upping his minutes of late with a 27-minute cameo against Brighton and a 32-minute cameo against Southampton. The problem is that Gahey is only suspended for 1 game, so you'd really be looking at 1 start from Chilwell and then hopefully an impact from the bench in the other 3 games. Richards would be a guaranteed starter if he is declared fit to play. He's been struggling with a calf injury, but if he is available, he is the most likely of their regular starters to be on your waivers. And given the sheer number of Palace games coming up, you could also invest in a Jefferson Lerma or an Adam Wharton. You would expect both to start all 4 matches, and even if they do nothing, you should still walk away with a minimum of 8 points from those 4 games, which could be the difference between a win and a defeat in a head-to-head matchup. As for Manchester City, they also have a double coming up in game week 33, so they have 3 matches across 2 game weeks. After Palace, they have Everton away and Aston Villa at home. Gundogan has started the last 3 in midfield for them, and in that time he's racked up an XGI of 0.80. They've also kept 2 clean sheets in a row now, so if there is any defensive availability on the waivers, you could do worse than pick up a Ruben Dias or similar. And just like the Jefferson Lerma recommendation, a Mateus Nunes pickup next week could be worthwhile, if only for those extra appearance points. I'd hold off for this week though, if that is something that you're thinking about. It's Brighton against Leicester at the Amex, and this is a prime example of investing in a team that do not have a double this week, based purely on the fact of who they are playing. Leicester have now lost 15 of their last 16 games, and in 13 of those 16 games, they have failed to score a goal. So any Brighton defenders, midfielders or attackers, anyone in a Brighton shirt with a pulse basically, well worth a waiver. Van Heck was sent off last time out, so that should see Lewis Dunk retain his place in the starting 11. There are injuries to Veltman, Igor, Lamptey and Kadioglu, so they're probably going to have to use a few midfielders out of position to make ends meet. Hinshelwood has been doing a good job at right back, and it may be that Mats Vifa fills in at centre-back. Matt O'Reilly is probably worth a pick-up this week. He started against Palace in the number 10 role. Simon Adingra also got 30 minutes, and he has got the potential to make an impact from the bench. And then you've got your Gruders, your Beliebers, and your IRs, who should all get minutes. It's just a question of how many, and how many they need to haul against a team like Leicester. Nottingham Forest will be looking to get back to winning ways against Everton, who are fast becoming the Premier League's draw specialists under David Moyes. 6 of their last 8 games now have ended in draws. Forest won the reverse fixture at Goodison Park earlier this season 2-0, thanks to goals from Chris Wood and Morgan Gibbs-White, but that was their first win over Everton in their last 5 meetings. Ola Aina is struggling with a calf injury, so you would expect Alex Moreno to slot in at left back and Nico Williams to move over to right back, especially after they lost at Villa using that back 3 system. So Moreno is worth a punt given his attacking threat. Just keep an eye out for any update on Aina. Anthony Elanga only managed 45 minutes against Villa, but if he isn't fit, Jota Silva will likely replace him. He scored his 3rd goal of the season in that defeat to Unai Emery's men. Everton, on the other hand, well, they're safe. I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet in this one. And while they may get a point, there are no standout options from them this week, in my opinion. It's Southampton against Aston Villa at St Mary's. Southampton are already relegated. They have binned off their manager, and they are now up against an Aston Villa side who have won their last 7 games in a row in all competitions. And Villa are a side who also double in game week 33 when they play Newcastle at home and Manchester City away. Not the easiest fixtures, especially when you throw in their games against PSG, but they are likely to have some options on your waivers. Defensively, Disasi has looked good since joining on loan from Chelsea. Tyrone Mings is playing regularly again, and Pau Torres is back in the picture as well. The problem is, it is hard to know what Villa's first choice backline is right now, so my advice is to see who lines up against PSG on Wednesday and go from there, depending on the result in that one as well. It also wouldn't surprise me if Villa rested players against Southampton, safe in the knowledge that a second string team will probably still have enough to beat them, and that would open up a few more options with Ian Matson amongst them.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
Arsenal take on Brentford in the evening kickoff, and the Gunners are another team that double in game week 33 when they take on Ipswich away and Crystal Palace at home. A lot will depend on what happens in Tuesday's game against Real Madrid, but if they've not been blown away by the Spaniards, Arteta may rest key players again, as he did against Everton, and that would make the likes of Leo Trossard much more appealing. Raheem Sterling may get minutes as well, and defensively Ben White is likely going to need more game time if he is going to make any kind of impact between now and the end of the season. The Gunners have beaten the Bees in 6 of their last 7 meetings, and they drew the other. On Sunday, it's Chelsea taking on Ipswich. Chelsea do not look like a very good football team, but it is Ipswich at home, and Ipswich do not look like a very good football team, so you'd have to fancy Chelsea in this one. Jadon Sancho continues to play regularly, despite failing to register a goal or an assist since game week 20, so he is well overdue. Neto only played 31 minutes against Brentford, but still ended up with an XGI of 0.27. And Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Madueke also both got nearly an hour's game time each. Enzo Maresca obviously rotated his squad for that game with their Conference League match in mind. And with what looks like a very kind game on paper, they may well rest players again against Ipswich. So Christopher Nkunku could also get a start. But see how they line up on Thursday and go from there. I imagine the vast majority who start that one will not play against Ipswich. And despite being fairly unimpressive of late, it's worth flagging that Chelsea have now actually kept 4 clean sheets in their last 5 games. So if a Chalobah, a Gusto or a Tosin are available in your league, now may be the time to pick them up with that Ipswich Town game in mind. It's Liverpool at home to West Ham, and this seems like the dream fixture to get back on track for Arne Slot's men. Defeat to Fulham last time out is not going to make much difference to their title campaign. That one seems to be in the bag. But in 3 of their last 5 meetings with the Hammers, they have had a whale of a time, scoring 5 goals in each game. 5-0 earlier this season in the league, 5-1 in the Carabao Cup, and 5-1 last season at Anfield. So any route into that Liverpool starting 11 would seemingly be a very good route. Connor Bradley may be available in some leagues. He's likely to start this one, I think, after coming off the bench against Fulham. Alexis McAllister and Curtis Jones are other viable options who will get lots of minutes. And Harvey Elliott continues to impress in limited game time. So if you're in a larger league, he could be an option. He looked a real threat when he came on against Fulham, and he would be a slice of that Liverpool pie that you could eat, if that's even a metaphor. It sounds like quite a disgusting one if you are in a larger league. Harvey Elliott is an option. Wolves take on Spurs at Molineux. I fancy Wolves in this one. They're on form. Cunha is back. and they've picked up 3 wins and a draw in their last 4 outings. Spurs will have also played on Thursday night, so a Munietzi or a Bellegarde could easily return in this one. And despite being lauded for their attacking threat, Spurs have not actually scored in their last 2 away games or in 3 of their last 5 Premier League matches. So even picking up a Wolves defender for this one might not be a bad move this week. Newcastle continue to push for a Champions League place after breaking their trophy drought with that Carabao Cup win over Liverpool. They take on Manchester United at St James's Park. Most of their assets will be taken, but Harvey Barnes may be available in some leagues, and he's done very well in the absence of Anthony Gordon. Gordon has still not returned to training for the Toon since getting injured on international duty, so Barnes will almost certainly start this one. And given it is a double game week for the Geordies, it's worth looking at the likes of Joe Linton, Bruno and Sandro Tonali if you're in need of a midfielder. Worst case scenario, you should walk away with a 4-point return, but each of them have actually returned once in their last 3 games as well, so that could easily happen again against the United side, who still look like a big old work in progress. On Monday, it is Bournemouth against Fulham. The Cherries have fallen off a cliff in recent weeks, and it is a trend of Iraola sides to struggle in the final third of the season, with players tiring from his all-out pressing style. They've also had a few injury problems of late which have not helped, but it is now just 1 win in their last 8 league games, and that was against Southampton. Meanwhile, Fulham, they're currently just 5 points off 4th, so they are very much chasing a European place. Alex Iwobi continues to be a bit of an unsung hero this season. He got a goal and an assist against Liverpool to make it 13 attacking returns for the season. Muniz has scored 4 goals in his last 5 games if he is still somehow floating about on your waivers. Bournemouth have lost their last 4 home games in a row now, but if you do think that they can arrest that slide in this one, Dango Utara is back in their starting 11 despite the return of Evan Nielsen, so he could be an attacking midfield option if you need it. And then it is Newcastle against Crystal Palace on Wednesday to wrap up the game week. We've already discussed their assets. And then, of course, it is on to game week 33 with those doubles for Arsenal, Manchester City, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. So keep those sides in mind when you are prioritising your waivers. And that is it for this week. It is a quick one, I'm afraid, but those are your waiver picks, and hopefully some of those player picks guide you to success in Game Week 32. A reminder that the deadline for those all-important waivers is on Friday the 11th of April at 11 a.m. GMT. The deadline for free agency is 24 hours later at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 12th of April. And then the game week itself gets underway at 12:30 p.m. GMT with the game at the Etihad between Manchester City and Crystal Palace. We are on social media. If you want to follow us, we're on X and we are on Instagram, where our handle is at FPL Draft Zone. We are also on Blue Sky as well, where our handle is at FPLDraftZone.bluesky.social. But that is your lot for this week. Good luck ahead of Game Week 32. Good luck in the waivers. Good luck in free agency if you even need it. And until next time, it is bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.